Warning: watch this video or you will regret it. Old age used to be considered a peaceful time, a time when children and grandchildren gathered together to support their parents after years of hardship. But the reality is rarely as gentle as expected. As age piles up, health declines, eyesight goes blind, legs become unsteady. It is also the time when many people realize that they are less and less cared for. The older you get, the more easily you seem to be forgotten, not by society, but by your loved ones. Changing family relationships. When they are healthy, the elderly are a great source of encouragement for their families. The old stories, thoughtful advice, and beautiful memories they share are invaluable to their children and grandchildren. But as they age, changes in their bodies and minds gradually make them lose their ability to maintain a central role in the family. When their steps become slow, their hands are no longer steady, and their memories gradually fade, their presence begins to fade. Many of us do not realize that family relationships can change silently, sometimes without anyone noticing until it is too late. Elderly people feel the change when their children come less and less, when they are no longer considered a source of encouragement, but become an invisible burden. Family members began to have more busy reasons, calls and messages became less frequent, and the care of their children and grandchildren became superficial. They no longer received thoughtful greetings, and if they did, they were just short calls, casual questions like, "How are you, Grandpa?" without really wanting to listen to the answers. The elderly suddenly realized that, although they were still there, still a part of the family, they seemed to have been pushed out of the circle of care. It was not hatred, but just an absence of emotion, the extinction of a connection that was once very close. This feeling was even stronger when seeing the younger generation no longer having enough patience to listen to long stories, no longer having enough time to share peaceful moments in life. That made the elderly feel even more lonely, even though they still lived in a family. Feeling abandoned and lonely. The feeling of abandonment in the elderly often comes not only from rarely seeing their children and grandchildren, but also from indifferent actions or silence in the family. When the attention gradually changes, the calls are no longer the same, the visits become less frequent, the elderly feel like an invisible object in the house they have been attached to all their lives. The feeling of loneliness comes not only from the physical absence of relatives, but also from the spiritual absence, the lack of companionship they once had. The elderly sometimes do not dare to express this feeling because they do not want to become a burden to anyone. They do not want to become a dark shadow in the eyes of their children and grandchildren, but still try to maintain a strong appearance, hiding the weakness inside. But that loneliness silently gnaws at their souls, making them feel extremely lost. They miss the old days when they could take care of their children and grandchildren, when people came to them whenever they needed advice or simply to share stories of everyday life. When the elderly feel that they are no longer important, they begin to doubt their own worth. Questions like, "What have I done for my family? Am I really necessary?" constantly appear in their minds. This worry is not only about not being loved, but also the fear that no one will take care of them when they really need help. This is the time when the elderly need understanding, but often they are faced with indifference. This makes them feel that they no longer have a place in society, in their family. They begin to realize that although they have spent their whole lives nurturing and caring for them, as age approaches, their children and grandchildren begin to distance themselves, no longer wanting to listen or share. This absence not only hurts the soul, but it also directly affects the mental and physical health of the elderly. Prolonged loneliness can lead to serious problems such as depression, anxiety, and even age-related diseases. Consequences of lack of care. The lack of affection and care from family can have serious consequences for the mental and physical health of the elderly. One of the most noticeable consequences is an increase in feelings of loneliness and sadness, which can lead to negative psychological effects. Feeling that they are no longer valued, no longer needed in the family, sometimes makes the elderly easily fall into a state of depression. Depression in the elderly is often overlooked for many reasons, partly because they do not want to share with others, partly because the signs of depression in this age group are often unclear. Signs such as insomnia, decreased energy, loss of interest in daily activities, or changes in diet are sometimes overlooked. And when no one recognizes or cares, this condition becomes worse. Lack of care from family can also increase the risk of physical illness. When there is no one to remind, encourage, or support, the elderly may skip regular doctor visits, making illnesses from mild to severe more serious. Lack of support in healthcare, no one to help in emergency situations, can put them in danger. In addition, lack of care also leads to a decline in communication skills. The elderly may feel that they have nothing to say, no one to share, gradually withdraw and do not participate in community or family activities. This creates a vicious cycle when loneliness further aggravates the feeling of abandonment. The consequences of lack of care not only affect the psychology, but also the quality of life of the elderly. An elderly person who does not receive attention, whether from family or community, may feel forgotten, no longer valued. They may stop participating in activities they love, lose motivation to care for themselves, and over time, their quality of life will decline significantly. There is nothing more painful than an elderly person feeling that they are no longer an important part of the lives of their loved ones. At that time, feelings of self-pity and loneliness begin to eat away at their soul, creating a pain that cannot be healed. Old age is not the end, but a period of slow living to understand love more deeply. Even if you sometimes feel abandoned, please remember, your value is not in the eyes of others, but in your heart that knows how to love and is resilient. If you are watching this video, please take a few seconds to share it with your loved ones, as a reminder that the elderly do not need many great things, just need to be remembered, listened to, and loved every day. If you find this video meaningful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to spread more humane stories.